Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror movie review as part of my 31 Horror Movies in May series. So today we're going to take a look at kind of a recent film within the last 10 years, I guess. It's an IFC film that I have on Blu-ray here, and that is The Harvest with Michael Shannon. So yeah, from 2013. So yeah, that's the movie we're going to go ahead and review. It was a first-time watch for me. So I'll give you my thoughts, spoiler free, but first I'll give you the setup, the premise, and the cast of this movie. So The Harvest, which was also released as Can't Come Out and Play in Europe, is a 2013 American horror thriller film released by IFC Films and was directed by John McNaughton. McNaughton, yeah. It is the first feature film he has directed in over a decade. His last being Speaking of Sex in 2001, and his first horror venture since Heckle's Tale from 2006, an episode of the anthology series Master of Horror. The movie had a world premiere on October 19th, 2013 at the Chicago International Film Festival and follows a young girl who befriends a seemingly lonely and confined boy her own age, only to fall afoul of his mother. In a 2017 interview, McNaughton said about the film, it has the bones of a fairy tale. It's about growing up and having to break free from your parents. Your parents want your heart and you can't let them take it. You have to break away and make your own life. So yeah, the movie opens with a teenage Marianne who's reeling from the loss of her mother and father. She moves in with her grandparents and is grateful when she manages to befriend Andy, a boy who uses a wheelchair. As Andy is very sick, he must stay within the house per the instructions of his mother, Catherine, who also forbids him from having any visitors. When their visits are discovered, Andy's father, Richard, is initially fine with the visits, but Catherine is having none of it, and her behavior grows increasingly erratic. After Catherine meets up with Marianne's grandparents and reveals to them that Andy is dying, they prohibit her from visiting Andy again. However, Marianne's visits continue, and Catherine's absent. She even takes Andy outside to play baseball. Their time together is cut short when Catherine calls her son to inform him that she's on her way home. They manage to get back inside the house, and Marianne hides in the basement where she discovers a comatose boy. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise for The Harvest. Cast wise, we have terrific cast: Samantha Morton as Dr. Catherine Young, Michael Shannon as Richard Young, Natasha Callis as Marianne, Charlie Tahan as Andy Young slash Jason, Peter Fonda as the grandfather, Leslie Lyles as the grandmother, and Meadow Williams as Sandra. So yeah, that's The Harvest. So like I said, it was a first time watch for me, and I enjoyed this movie pretty well. I thought it's not perfect by any means, but I thought it worked really well as more of a thriller with underlying themes, undertones of horror, certainly in the movie. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the pros. And when you talk about this movie, you got to talk about the quality of the performances, which are just outstanding, especially Samantha Morton. Her character is not very likable, and you kind of want to punch her in the face 10 minutes into the movie. But that just goes to show you what a great performance it was by Samantha Morton as Dr. Catherine Young. She was phenomenal, as well as Michael Shannon, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite actors of this generation. He's just outstanding in this movie. The way he plays it, he probably has the biggest character arc of all the characters in this movie. Not that it's a huge character arc kind of movie, but if there is any, it's definitely his. They just both give amazing performances, and then also the young performers as well are really good, especially Charlie Tahan, who plays Andy or Jason. He's really good, especially for a young actor. And then also Natasha Callis as Marianne is really good, and they're really compelling characters that it's easy for us as an audience to root for as a result of their performances. So they have a bond and a friendship that's very believable and definitely builds into the overall movie because of the quality of their performances. So also, while the story certainly isn't groundbreaking, it does certainly play to horrific themes in terms of what parents might do to save a child, going beyond rational and reasonable thought and action. It's really quite terrifying, and that's really where the horror of this movie comes in. It's really played from a visceral standpoint as a thriller movie. But there are horror elements that are more the undertones of what's actually happening in this movie. if you really stop and think about it, it's very horrific. So that certainly wasn't lost on me. There's some nice twists and turns throughout the second half of the movie that work pretty well and really get us in a nice get the audience rooting for the kids to get out as fast as they can once the reveals are there. I felt it was a good thriller in terms of the tension-filled scenes, especially in the back half of the movie that really engages the viewer. I like the music and the score in this movie, just adding to the tension. Not only adding to the tension, but also some of the dramatic type of music that's used as well in the first half of the movie. And I think the movie has really good atmosphere that really works, and the pacing is also really good. It's a very well directed movie by John McNaughton. And John McNaughton, of course, directed what's the movie with Michael Rooker? Oh, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. I thought I was going to forget it there, which would have drove me nuts. But yeah, it's a very well. He really directs this movie well. He executes the vision of this movie really well, and as I said, good atmosphere, good pacing. It really gives us a chance to get to know the characters and the situation, the first part of the film, and then pays us off for the most part the second half of the film, not perfectly. And then one final pro that I have to mention is I really enjoyed the baseball scene opening the movie and ending the movie. I thought that was sort of a nice bookend to the story of this movie. So yeah, those are my pros for The Harvest. It plays very well as a thriller movie, and like I said, the quality of the performances are really what make this movie work. As far as cons go, I have a few. The overall premise and story isn't really groundbreaking. We've seen other types of movies like this where there's a child that's sort of in peril for whatever reason. They're sick or they're being treated a certain way by the parent where they can't go outside and can't have any visitors. And so that part was a little bit predictable and seen before. It's one of the weaker parts of the movie. I also think it loses a bit of steam once the big twist is revealed midway through the movie. I thought maybe they could have pushed the reveal or the twist a little closer to the end of the movie or had the movie end a little bit sooner because you kind of get it right in the middle. I don't think that works quite as well. Also, I'm not sure about some of the accuracy regarding how they keep these two boys in the movie alive because it's basically one was sick from the time they were a baby and they basically keep one in a comatose state. I'm not quite in a basement. I'm not quite sure if that would play out to being like 12 or 13. And then the same with the kid upstairs that Marianne visits, Andy, as we know him to be through most of the film. Um, the fact that he was a baby that was basically taken and experimented on and made to be sick as far as muscular organisms and his organs and muscular structure growing at the rate that they would need to. I'm not quite sure about that, especially for I'm assuming he's like 12 or 13 in this one, but I think is what he's supposed to play. So yeah, I'm not sure quite. I'm not. You have to you have to sort of hold your disbelief a little bit, I guess, for the movie. But those are just some cons that I'm not really sure work across the board. More story related, um, just with the premise of it. But overall, this is a really good watch, and I'm definitely going to keep it in my collection. I think the performances by these two, for sure, and him, and then Marianne too, the young performers, and then you also have Peter Fonda in this movie, and kind of I mean, you could say that it's kind of a side role, not a very big role, but he does play kind of an important part, especially as it relates to Marianne. So, yeah, overall, really good directing, really good performances, good atmosphere, and there's some tension-filled, suspenseful scenes that I really enjoyed. So, The Harvest from 2013, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10 for what it is. I think as a thriller, on the surface, it works well, and with the more horrific elements underneath, I think it works well enough. So 8 out of 10 is my rating for this movie. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen The Harvest from 2013 or from Europe, better known as Can't Come Out to Play. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So please like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos for this series. And please hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my great horror content throughout the rest of this year and beyond. So thank you for watching this review of The Harvest. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Stay scared. Bye.